Hello, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to teach you how to create something called a swap method, a swap function. This will be used for another video about bubble sort. I'm just want to get in the beginning so you know how to swap. So there's many ways how to swap. I'm going to show you two ways on how to swap. So let's go to the first way and we're going to go through the pseudocode. And then we'll go through the actual code in Python. I'll use Visual Studio Code with my IDE, and for my pseudocode, I will be using a Sketchpad, also known as Sketchpad.app, to just write it out. My pseudocode. So if we're swapping it, let's say we have a variable called x and a variable called y, and they don't have to be numbers, but we'll just make the numbers because that's usually the easiest to work with, and we'll make y 5. So x is 7, y is 5. Our goal is to make x 5 and then y 7. Let's go through one method. To do this, we can create another variable called z. Okay, and then z is going to be equal to, you can either make it equal to x or y. Depending on what you pick, the code will change a little bit. I'll show both. Right now, let's make it equal to x. So z is equal to x, which means z equals 7, right? Then what I'll do is I'll change the value of x to y. Now change the value of y to x. But if we do that, y won't change because the value of x is here. So instead of doing y is equal to x, we do y equals z. I'll run through the code in actual Python just to make a little more sense. So we'll create a function called def swap, and it'll take in parameters x and y. Okay. Now we create a function called def swap, and it takes in two parameters, x and y. Then we say, now extra parameters, we haven't actually given them values. So what we do is then we create a variable called z, and it's equal to x. This x right here, this x, the parameters, the value, we create a variable called z, which is equal to x. Now z is a local variable. Okay. Then we say x equals y. So the parameter x, when I call this function, whatever is the argument for x the value will change to y. Then y is equal to z. We can't do y equals x because y won't change. We have to do y equals z. And then we'll have to return x comma y. Now, the function's not going to actually run until we call it, right? So we'll call swap of, let's say, x is 7 and then y is 5. And then we'll print this out. And I'm going to show you something that will be a little different, just a little different. 5, 7. But, okay, let's say I create variables called x and y. Okay, let's say I create variables x and y. So let's say I say x equals 7 and then y equals 5. If I do swap x comma y, many things are going to happen. Nothing's going to run because swap x comma y, we didn't print it, right? It holds a value, but it's not printing anything. But if I print x comma y, it still prints 7 comma 5. Why? Well, this swap is changing the values in the function. These are local variables. This is just happening in the function. It's not actually changing the value of this x and y. This x and y are parameters. So how do we make it so that their values actually change? Well, we do something that's a little complicated. We do x comma y equals. So we're changing the value of x comma y. Then we do swap parentheses comma y. What we're doing is this x comma y is changing the value of x comma y. And since we're returning two, like, you know when we do x is now equal to a swap of x, if we're just returning x. Like, let's say we're just returning x, we can say x equals swap of x, right? Simple. And then we can just say y equals swap of y. But there are two parameters. So what can we do? This is a toughie, right? How do we change both the values and we want to return both x comma y? We want to change them at once, and this is a little tough when you think about it. Or is it? Are we just being stupid? Or are we forgetting something? We can make this simple. We just do x comma y equals swap of x comma y, like I said earlier. The reason we're doing this is this x will be changed. Since this swap of x comma y is returned the value of x comma y, this x right here will be equal to this x, and this y will be equal to this y. Remember, these two are parameters, but these two are variables. But if I do y comma x, the values will still stay the same because this y will change to this y will become x, and then change x into x. That's not gonna work, right? So we have to do x comma y. Then that will work. You run this, and then we want to print comma y. So it should print 5 comma 7. Boom. Okay, so let's review the code, but I'm just gonna make it a little simple. Instead of making the variables x and y, we're gonna make them a and b. So okay, so let's rerun through the code. I changed the variables x and y to a and b, but I didn't change the parameters. We have a function called def swap, and it takes in parameters x and y. We create a local variable called z, and z is equal to the parameter x. Then we change the value of x, whatever when we call this function whatever value, we change it into the value of y, which is also a parameter. Then we change the value of y into z. If we change y equals x, it's not going to work, because then y would just be equal to y. We return x comma y. Then what we do is we say a equals 7, and then 5, and then b equals 5. We're just defining two variables that are equal to 7 and 5. Then we do a comma b equals swap a comma b. And since they're returning a value, whatever values returned, the first value will become a, and the second value will become b. Then we're just printing a comma b. Simple. See you. This was a little short video, I know, but bye.